This is a tutorial on how I color faces using Copic markers, specifically the Moody Girl Collection of stamps by Paper Makeup Stamps. I'm starting out with the EOO Copic marker, which is also known as Skin White. This is my most commonly used color for skin, and I'm just going around the whole face, leaving the center without any ink. Now I'm taking E21, which is also known as Baby Skin Pink. This is the color that I always use for my shadow color. So I'm going to really concentrate underneath the hairline, and then also basically I'm just outlining the face. Pretty simple. Now here I'm going back with the EOO, which was my first color, and this I call scrubbing the line. So I'm just kind of blending that out a little bit. Now see her eyebrow here? We're going to take the eyebrow shape and follow it down with the E21, creating a line for the nose. And then I'm going to make it a little bit thicker and just kind of shadow there. If you're nervous about doing this, you can always use your EOO first, so that way you know where your line's going to be. Now I'm going to take the EOO again, and like I did before, just kind of scrubbing that line all the way around the edges, focusing on my shadow spots first, and then, sorry, my hair's in the way, but just kind of doing a quick coat all the way through, not going over the center of her face too many times, so that way it remains a little bit lighter. And I'm going to try to avoid the bridge of the nose as much as possible. Now I'm going to add some cheek color. I'm using R20, which is a blush, and just kind of flicking in from the outer edges of her face in. Pretty easy there. Still with the E21 shadow color, I am going to shadow underneath her eyes a little bit. So going under, kind of like adding a shadow eyeliner, but make sure you don't go into the whites of the eyes like I just did, because I'll have to fix that. And going down around the sides of the face and just really making sure that that depth stays there. Now at this point, you don't want to use the EOO to blend if you have any blending to do. Here I'm using an E000, even an E000 would be okay, but I prefer the 000. You want to make sure that that bridge of the nose there stays lighter than anywhere else. So I'm even going to take the E21 again and kind of go down that side there and add the dot in for the other side of the nose. That will help that. Okay, so for her eyes, I'm taking a darker blue and going up in that top corner only. And then I'm skipping a few numbers and going to B01. So I'm going from B06 to B01. And the reason for this is because in a small area like that, when you really want to see a good contrast, you do have to skip a few other numbers. Otherwise, they just add too close together. Here I added a white gel pen. Sorry, you couldn't really see that, but added the white gel pen just to the corners of her eyes opposite of where the darkest color was. Last thing to do is the lip color, and I'm just going to use the same pink that I used for the cheeks and kind of fill in just that area where her mouth is, kind of making sure the cheeks are nice and pink there. And then the last thing I always do is I go back to my shadow color again, and I make sure that I hit all the little spots that I know I'd have shadows, like a shadow from the hair or anything like that. And that's our Moody for Holly. Now this is Moody for Coffee. I already got this one started actually because my hair was covering too much of what you could see and it made it pointless. So I've done the first step of EOO and then shadowing outside the lines. Now here's her eyebrow. So we're going to just kind of connect that down using the E21, our shadow color. And then we're going to go back in with EOO and kind of smudge out that line a little bit. So I'm just going to carry the EOO all the way over, again focusing then on that outer edge, making sure that the colors are nice and blended there. Then I'm moving down to her neck now, so I'm just kind of, again, focusing on those edges where the darker lines are first, and then filling in, not putting too many layers through the center. Okay, now going back to her face. Here I'm going to add some cheek color, again using R20. I'm just going to flick in from the sides there. Both sides. And just using EOO, which was my overall skin color again, to kind of blend that out a little bit. Here I'm using the E21 to shadow underneath her eyes just a little bit. And making sure I got that shadow line of her nose and adding the nostril side on the other side. It's not really a nostril, it's really just the other side of her nose. And then using the EOO to blend all that where I want it. Now see this little space there above her eye? I've decided that this Moody Girl is going to be a little bit more of a makeup gal. So I'm going to take a gray marker, this is W5, and I'm just going to fill that in there and shadow it up just a little bit. That's going to need to be blended a little bit. So I'm going to take the EOO, no, that's an E21, and just kind of blend it. Sorry, a big piece of my hair is in the way. For her eye color, I'm going to do the exact same thing as we did on the last Moody. Take a darker color, in this case B06, up in that kind of top corner, and then I'm going to fill in the rest of it with B01, which, as I said, we're skipping some of those numbers there because we want to make sure that we see the contrast in the eyes. Filling in her mouth with R20 real quick. And so my final step is just making sure that everything's blended like I want it to be. I'm using just the E000 again. I'm not trying to add too much color here, but I just want to make sure that everything is nice and blended how I want it. Now I did this exact same image in a class the other day using the warm gray markers. So it's the exact same technique as I just did, only using the warm grays. If you're interested, I have a tutorial. You can check out my sidebar on using the warm gray Copic markers. Thanks very much.